So errors on one half of the story. The other half is logs, the events leading up to a crash, the business stuff, user login, payment started, a slow API response. Mouse team end up adding the second SDK just for logs because Crashlytics doesn't really do a structured login. Rivium Trace has log built-in, same SDK we already installed, same API key, no extra setup, we just enable it. One call, source ID is just a label so you can filter logs by which app they came from. Useful when you have multiple apps in the same project. Batch size and flush interval control how often logs get set up. Defaults are sensible. You usually don't touch them. Now I can log from anywhere in app. No setup, no buttons needed. Logs are just function calls. To keep this simple, I'm dropping 3 logs call right inside init state of the home page. That way, they fire automatically when the app starts up, which is exactly how you would use logs in real code anyway. Sprinkle through your init state, your API calls, your event handlers. Notice each call takes a message plus a metadata map. That metadata is the whole point of a structured login. You can filter and search by those fields in the dashboard. So user ID, endpoint, duration MS, whatever is useful for that event. Saving the file, now I'm switching on the console and opening the logs tab. Here's a nice detail to know up front. The logs tab is live, unlike the errors tab where you had to refresh. Logs stream into the dashboard in the real time as they fire from the apps. No refresh needed. So I'm leaving the logs tab open, and now I hot restart the app on the device. Our 3 logs will be fired at once. There, 3 logs just pop up in live, info, warn, error, all at once. Each one shows its level, the message, and the metadata I attached. You can click any one to expand, filter by level, search by metadata, the usual stuff. And under the hood, this is a battery friendly. The SDK patch log retry with exponential backup if the network is bad. Pauses when the app goes to the background. You don't have to think about any of that, but it's matter in production. Okay, this is the part of the video I knew I had to get right, because most Flutter error tracking videos lie to you about it. Flutter Web Error Tracking. If you have ever tried to debug a Flutter Web crash in production, you already know the pain. I'm going to show you the pain. Then show you what I think is the real fix, which is not what most videos tell you. Same app, same code, building it for the web and running in the browser. Building finished. Serving it locally, opening in the browser. Now I tap the same through an error button, but this time it's running as a compiled JavaScript, not Dart. Switch to the console errors tab and refresh. And here's the problem. Look at this stack trace, main.js, line 59038. Function name a3v$0. Garbage. You can't tell which file, which function, which feature. Now, most Flutter Error Tracking video at this point tell you upload source maps, problem solved, magic. That's not the whole truth. Let me actually upload the source maps and show you what happens. First, the upload, I open the console trace, setting, source map, and drag and drop build web main.js map. Set the release version to 1.0.0, same release I configured in SDK. Click upload, that's it. Now return back to the issues. First, delete the last errors we received that, and press through an error again. Go back to the console, refresh, and here we can see the new error with source maps. Look at the difference. The first frame resolved to JS helper dot. That's a Dart SDK file, not my code. Some frames in the middle result to my widget code. Some still shows main.dart.js. It is better. It is not perfect. The reason, Dart2.js, the compilers that turned your Dart code into the JavaScript inline function super aggressively in release mode. When it inline, it strips the source mapping for those bytes. This is a property of Dart2.js output, not the resolver. I'm telling you upfront so you don't waste a weekend thinking your setup is broken. So what's the actual fix for Flutter Web? Two things. And the second one is the unique things. Fix 1. For QA builds. If you really need fully resolved trace, build with Dart2.js optimization 01. Trade 30% bundle size for clean stacks. Fine for staging, not recommended for production. Run Flutter build web source maps with Dart2.js optimization 01. Re-upload the new map, refresh, and no must frame result to real Dart file. But I wouldn't ship that to the production users. The fix 2, the real one for production. Gesture breadcrumbs. This is a feature I must product. Back to the IDE, one line, enable gesture breadcrumbs. That's the hook into the Flutter framework on every platform, web, mobile, desktop, and logs every tab as a breadcrumb, widget type, label, value key if you set one, current route, tab coordinates. Now let's build again Flutter Web with the source map and then upload new one and try again. Look at the breadcrumb right before the error. Tap on elevated button through an error. With that one breadcrumbs, even with the partially resolved stack trace, I know exactly which buttons broke. I can reproduce instantly. That's a real win. A stack trace are only half of the story on Flutter Web. The context is the other half. And Rivium gives you the context out of the box with one line. On last thing I want to show you, and it's something none of the other tools have. Everything we just did, error, logs, source map, all of it lives in the Rivium console, the web dashboard. But there is also the second app called Rivium Studio. It's a native desktop app, same data, same projects, same backend you already logged into, but built for when you are actually coding sitting next to your IDE instead of in the browser tab. I'm logging in with the same Rivium account I use for the console, and right away I see the same organization, the same Flutter demo project we just created. No resetup, no separate account, same error, same logs, same source map stack trace, but now in a desktop UI, native window sitting right on my Mac. No tab to hunt for, no refresh, no browser memory eating my RAM. The whole Rivium platform in one desktop window. But for today, let's say on the Trace tab. The reason I'm showing you this is the workflow it unlocks. This is a setup I actually use. IDE on one side, Studio on the other. When an error fires in my app, it pops up in a Studio right next to the code that's caused it. No alt tab to the Chrome, no refresh, just write the code, see error, fix them. Rivium Studio is free to download, links in the description. One of the features Rivium Studio has is the AI assistance. You can attach your cloud, your OpenAI key to the Studio, and it helps you to fix a stack trace. If you don't want to use none of them, you can use Rivium AI. With the download, each model is proper for you. So we just covered empty Flutter project, SDK install in one line, basic init, first error in the dashboard, init with zone to catch async error with one call, a structure login built into the same SDK, Flutter Web source maps, the honest version, plus gesture breadcrumbs. As the real fix, there is more I didn't cover in this video: manual breadcrumbs, track API calls, business events, navigation manually for richer context, user context, attach the logged in user to every error, performance tracking, HTTP request, custom operations, native crash detection, catch native crash on the next app launch. I will cover those on the next video. Quick recap. We took an empty Flutter app, dropped in one SDK, paste one API key, we got crash reporting, async error catching, structure logs, readable Flutter Web stack trace, and a desktop app to debug from. No Firebase, no second SDK for logs, no source map mnemonistics. Rivium Trace has a free tier. You can try it right now. The link on the docs, the SDK on the PubDev, the Rivium Studio download, and the example code are all in the description. If this helpful, hit the like and subscribe. Next video I will show you how to migrate from Sentry, and the one after that how to migrate from Crashlytics. Thank you for watching.